And here we are, live, Croc Talk with Chris Croc. And the saga continues, but this is worse, I think, because with all the horrible things that have happened in Wylie ISD with Islamification thereof, they alleged that they were doing an investigation. They alleged that they would figure out what happened and then act appropriately and punish anybody. Nobody has been punished by any definition that we have seen. And nobody lost their job. And it just is incredible, the arrogance. I've had the head of the Republican club, one of the two Republican club heads at Wylie East High. We went back and forth tonight, Marco Hunter Lopez, and he was sharing some things with me. We also have some more, I should say, I don't have a mouse in my pocket. It's not we, it's I. I have some video from the school board meeting that I was at a couple nights ago that shows one of the school board members laughing at how long it took the Republican club to be put together there. But the Texas Scorecard has a nice in-depth piece that shows that nothing was done there today. So that is coming up. Also, we have Tony Gonzales. Listen, if you think you know what's going on with Tony Gonzales, the congressman, by the way, I'll be filling in tomorrow morning on KTSA in San Antonio, the big flamethrower talk station there, for Jack Riccardi, a legend, a San Antonio legend, 10 in the morning, so you can tune in there, KTSA, AM 550, I should say News Talk 550, KTSA, and FM 107.1. But Tony Gonzales represents West San Antonio and all the way over to El Paso, and the self-immolation of a woman he allegedly had an affair with, it has blown way out of proportion. It is wild and sickening, and he needs to step down. I'll get into that. James Talarico literally violates and goes against Proverbs 21:6. I will tell you what that proverb is and why he's a big fat liar. And Bud Kennedy from the Star-Telegram, the ever-present leftist liberal columnist who I had on my show a few times when I was on the radio for 15 years here in DFW. I'll never forget Bud Kennedy telling me how he was sad. He was in studio, and he told me he was sad that my son was homeschooled and not that the children in the public school were missing out on the blessings of my son. He graduated summa cum laude like his pappy, 4.0, speaks Japanese at the second highest level of fluency out of 5 levels. The only level higher is a perfectly fluent Japanese speaker with honors and all sorts of great things from University of Texas at Dallas. So we're doing fine, bud, but thank you. That's all coming up next on the Croc Talk with Chris Croc here on the Croc Talk podcast. But first, as always, my friends, Croc Talk with Chris Croc is brought to you by IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategy. Randy Martin at IRSprob, IRSprob.com, has been my CPA for my business. This bidnet that you're watching right now, as well as my wife's bidnet and our taxes for over 8 years, including for my son and daughter when they've had some issues, as Dwayne Caraway with Dwayne with the statutes. For those of you folks who have followed my radio show for years before going solo, happily and gladly. But first, this from the Texas Scorecard with massive follow-ups. I also have commentary today from the head of the Republican Club directly to me. You're going to see video of one of the school board members laughing about how took 2 years for the Republican Club of students to be able to be allowed to start up. It's unbelievable. But the Muslim Club, right away. In fact, the Muslim Student Association had no advisor, which is not allowed, no faculty advising them at Wylie East. But they did bring in, inshallah, 4 adults who had no business walking into the children's to Wylie East High. 4 adults were allowed to come in and bring Qurans, hijabs, understanding Sharia pamphlets, and why Islam bags and candy. Now, we've talked about that a lot, but what we haven't talked about is the alleged investigation and adjudication of that violation of adults in school proselytizing to our children. And there's more details. So let me get into it. So this is from, first of all, actually, let me share this with you from a parent. This is from one of our parents, Michael Schwerin. He's a friend of the show. And Michael sent this to me tonight. Look at this. Talk about the arrogance of the board members. This is one of the board members, Kayla Yeager Rising, if I'm pronouncing that right. She says that, I got to read you the whole thing. It's unreal what he sent to me. This is a portion of it. And so let me read this to you because it's just totally unreal. Okay, this is Michael Schwerin today. He sent this to me. Her post that she put out there today on Facebook. Kylie Yeager Rising is her name. As a Wylie ISD school board trustee, the recent incident in our district was deeply upsetting to me. Yes, the Islamization, and I'll go back to just reading it from my phone, and this is on Facebook. It's deeply unsettling to me. What's deeply unsettling to you? The Islamization in your school? No. Serving this district is not just a title for me, says Kylie Yeager Rising. It's personal. I love Wylie ISD more than I can put into words. Don't they always say that? Our students, our teachers, our families, they deserve leadership that listens, learns, and serves with integrity. We are not perfect, but I promise we do care deeply, and we work hard for every single day to do what is right for our kids. Social media, this is where she attacks folks that have exposed this. The folks that exposed this were the Republican Party in Collin County, I believe, along with the young man who's been, I'm tight with him now, Marco Hunter Lopez, the head of the Republican Student Club there. And they scolded, and she's still doing this. Apparently she's old Wylie, like part of the founders. And so here's what they do. She attacks people for going to social media, which is the only reason we and the whole country have found out that adults were allowed to bring Qurans in and try to lure our kids into Islam at the school during the school day. Social media, she says, can sometimes tell part of a story, only part of a story. It can amplify emotion without context and not leave out the important facts. See, you can't handle this. You are too dumb. You're too stupid. You need Kylie Yeager Rising to tell you what to make of Islamization of your schools. You need her, and I don't care how much of a Republican she says she is. This is exactly how leftists and Democrats and liberals talk. This is why I encourage you to watch the entire board meeting from 217 that I posted below. She's a trooper, isn't she? Aren't you glad you got her on your side of the school? The meeting begins with public forum, followed by the student-led prayer, blah, 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 blah. If you have concerns or questions, I'm always willing to listen. Yeah, right. Anyways, Wylie ISD is strong because of its people. I remain concerned and always committed, whatever. So anyways, this is the kind of crap they're dealing with, and they're attacked for going public. That's what every one of these folks, parents and students, have told me. And this is from parent Michael Schwerin, like I said. He says, just a few more updates from Wylie today. Kylie is a legacy board member. Her family's been in Wylie since its founding, helped build a whole lot of the town, so no one can really go against her. They all say they're Republicans and conservatives, but they sound an awful lot like Democrats with comments. They say, we're spreading misinformation and half-truths. Exactly, Michael. Keep speaking out. Now, to Texas Scorecard with this unbelievably important story today on Wylie ISD. Because the employees, I still believe strongly that this had something to do with the hijab-loving principal of Wylie East High School. And let me show you her again. This is the hiding principal I've told you about who, and I played you the video, she hid from me when I came to ask her a question. She turned away and she was hiding from me. This is Principal Tiffany Doolin, who was afraid. There she was a year ago wearing a hijab and just so happy and said she loved it, all caps, wearing the hijab, okay? Now, I will go to, we should probably play the hiding principal again. It's just well worth it. This is Principal Tiffany Doolin at the school board meeting the other night, and she was hiding from me. She did not want to answer any questions, and so I'm going to play that for you right now. Here we go. I'm just asking a question. This is a public building. I can ask questions. Why are you hiding? You're a public principal, Miss Doolin. Miss Doolin, why are you hiding? Did you allow those people in to preach Islam to your students? You loved World Hijab Day. Remember that? You said in all caps you loved it. Do you still love World Hijab Day? What are you afraid of? Yeah, she's afraid. I believe, because it was 1 year later on World Hijab Day, this stuff happened. And I told you yesterday from a parent who had their 8th grade girl was given a Quran, understanding like a book about understanding the Quran or Quran basics, and what looked like the Arabic alphabet, so that she could study the Quran with her friend. Her friend gave that to her on the same day in 8th grade class, during class, with candy. They are hitting our kids hard, and the principal loves it. And they supposedly only had one person at the front desk at Wylie East that was in trouble. They investigated it. That person was supposedly suspended. I was told there was no suspension whatsoever from people. I can't verify that. But I can tell you this, nobody lost their job officially today by this Texas scorecard. So 4 adult Muslims came in and passed out Qurans, hijabs, candy, and understanding Sharia pamphlets and Why Islam swag bags with minarets on them to your kids. And apparently there was no Raptor, which is the security system they used. Apparently there was no Raptor background checks. And they had no advisor through the Student Muslim Association, but 4 Muslim adults came into your kids. And no one was fired. What do you think would happen? I am an evangelical Christian. Hold on. This is the Bible that I was led to the Lord with in 2008. Everything's has fallen off because of all the years. This is the Wiersbe Study Bible that I use now. I would like to go into Wylie East High School and bring my Bible and preach on the Lord God Jesus Christ. And I would like to share my testimony with these children. And I would like to tell them that it's not about a faith, a religion. It is about a relationship with Jesus Christ, that he died for our sins, that we all have hate in our hearts, unlike what the left says. Hate has no home here. No, we all have hatred and sin in our hearts, and we need Jesus to fill the gap for us. And that's why he died, for our sins. I want to bring in my Bibles. I want to tell my story. I have my 30-second elevator speech for how I came to the Lord. Can I do that? What would happen to a staffer that let me in? Think they'd be fired? We know how Wylie ISD, for example, treats Muslims compared to students, and we know that they serve halal, according to some of the the parents and children at Wylie East High. Continuing on, this is from the Texas scorecard today, February 19th. Campus security breach, and it was 4 adults allowed in, but it was for Islam, so it was okay. They did not directly address accountability for anyone involved, says Texas scorecard at Wylie East High. Wylie ISD spokesperson told Texas scorecard the district's investigation into the incident has been concluded, and the unnamed staff member who violated district policies has returned to work. Inshallah. We got to keep that Islam in there. So the person who did this is back to work. Back to work. Marco Hunter Lopez, the Republican Student Club head, said he's required to follow extensive procedures when his club hosts visitors. For example, he told me that State Senator Angela Paxton came to speak. She had to go through a background check. But 4 adult Muslims to proselytize your children? No, we don't need that. Continuing on. He says outside adults were able to bypass the same procedures. It raises troubling questions of double standards. It sends a message that some groups are held to strict regulations while others are granted exceptions. 4 adults bringing in the Islamic materials to proselytize. So I do believe that I don't think, and nobody that I talked to there believes that a single person in the front desk is who's responsible for this. I believe, I have no proof, I have no confirmation, but I strongly believe that it's the principal that had everything to do with that, because she loves all caps, Islam, and loves bringing Islam into her school during the school day with World Hijab Day. Inshallah. Or at least I should say she appears to love doing it during the school day. I don't know when she put that hijab on last year, what time it was. Anyways, the situation left many of us, students, staff, and parents alike, questioning how such a lapse in protocol could occur on a campus that places such a strong emphasis on security, says Hunter Lopez. Wylie ISD parent Michael Schwerin, who like I said, we go back and forth texting, and he's been on this show. He's quoted in Texas Scorecard saying that he was speaking for himself as well as for the other parents when he spoke at the school board meeting. We were sitting right next to each other. He says he was speaking for himself as well as parents, teachers, and staff members who are afraid to speak because they fear retaliation. If teachers were told, according to Michael and all these other folks in the district that are friends, family members, and students, teachers are told to hide their crucifixes, hide their crosses. They can't show them, they can't display them, and take the Bibles off of their desks. But the Quran is good. The superintendent says she wants to stay off the 5 o'clock news. Guess what she did? She got in the 5 o'clock news and then some. When we come to you directly, I'm told I'm lying, says Michael Schwerin. He says the superintendent says she wants to stay out of the 5 o'clock news. Michael Schwerin says, when we come to you directly, principal, I'm told I'm lying, or it didn't happen, or it's stuck under the rug quickly. That's exactly right, and that's why I'm exposing this more and more. Jaquez Jones, a teen Republican leader from Denton County, who we've been texting a little bit too. He says the reason why people in Texas are removing their children from public schools is because of stuff like this. And so what I want to tell you is we homeschooled my daughter, who is now 19 and has completed almost exactly 2 years of community college locally, and will be transferring to one of the universities here in North Texas for her last 2 years, and probably grad student stuff as well. She was homeschooled. My son was homeschooled. We sacrificed with a one-income family for 15 years of our lives while being here in North Texas, and we wouldn't change anything for it. And if you can do it, I would do it. And the curriculum that we used did everything for us. At a certain point, you start to segue into having co-ops, because you can't teach. I can't teach high school math. Neither can my word. Like, the way you doing that, we're paying somebody. Okay, so yes, and that's why this 8th grade mom yesterday, I shared with you that intel. An 8th grade mom had her daughter was given the Quran, candy, and these books. Understanding Islam for a Child or whatever, and here's Arabic to learn. I want you to read the Quran with me in the middle of class. Here you go. Don't study. Don't pay attention to the teacher. Here's the Quran. So that's why, and that woman said she's pulling all 3 of her kids out of Wylie ISD because she doesn't want a district that's going to undermine what her and her husband have spent their whole lives raising their children and their values. Excuse me. Scott Wynn, the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, said visitors must be approved by the principal. So I go back to Tiffany Doolin, who wears the hijab and says she loves it. She loves Islam in her school. And I wonder, did you approve, according to the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, he says you have to approve stuff in advance for visitors. So did you approve these 4 Islamic proselytizers, adults, in the middle of the school day? Did you, Tiffany Doolin? I think you did. Did you? Sure looks like it to me. At the time of the incident, the Muslim Student Association didn't even have a sponsor. They were not even like an official student group, but adults were allowed to come in. That's the difference with Islam versus Christianity in our public schools. Trustees also voted Tuesday, says the Texas Scorecard, against implementing an optional period of prayer, and they voted against implementing an optional period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious texts as provided for legislation by SB 11. So they don't want to do what the law has been passed if they have an option to do. They said no optional period of prayer, no optional of reading the Bible or other religious texts. No. Islam only, under the radar. Ixnay. And I'm going to say one more thing on this before I read to you what the head of the Republican Student Club at Wylie told me tonight. He sent me this email tonight. But I'm going to tell you what the truth is from everything I've gathered. Oh, and I've got the video to show you. I'll use that to set up what Marco sent me today that we were going back and forth on. But first, This is the truth from what I gathered. I played you a video yesterday, and I was at the meeting watching everybody speak, including Muslims, and these Muslims who came in to speak, thinking it was fine to proselytize to our children in the middle of the day, and all this stuff, and they were like, they're flabbergasted, this is a big deal. They said it was a tempest in a teapot. It's no big deal. Because remember, it's okay to push Islam wherever you can, including in schools, and if we say anything about it, we try to stop it because it's not allowed, we're bad. We're full of hate or whatever, right? But there's two things happening here with the Muslim community at Wylie ISD. There's either a fundamental misunderstanding, thinking that this is like a Muslim nation, where you can do these kinds of things and the rules don't apply to you, because that's the case if you're in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or Afghanistan. Don't you love my accent? Pakistan, Afghanistan, or say, where am I thinking about? Indonesia. But this is not a Muslim nation, and you cannot just come in and do what you want with Islam in our schools. So there's either a fundamental misunderstanding like that, which would be innocent, quote unquote, or it's intentional. I think that a big chunk of it's intentional, as far as why this is happening, why Muslims are involved in doing this stuff and acting like it's not a big deal. Now, I'm going to play you the videos that I got tonight from the head of the Republican Club for Students, Republican Club at students at Wylie East High, from Marco Hunter Lopez. He sent these videos to me tonight. I'm going to show you two things. This is a video of Kyle Sims speaking out. Kyle will be coming on the show sometime next week. He's one of our local DFW social media influencers. He spoke at the Wylie East High meeting we had for Wylie ISD the other night. And while he was speaking, he talked about how it took 2 years for the Republican Club to be set up because there was so much resistance. And when you zoom in while he's saying that, you will see one of the school board members laugh. Watch this. It's amazing. He's like maniacally laughing how hard it was for Republicans to start up a club over 2 years. Look at this.
I add that there's a young man in this ring that we fought for several months ago that had fought 2 years to get a Republican club. And the stuff that he had to go through to do that.
Did you see that maniacal laugh from the school board member? Now, Marco zoomed in and got it even bigger so you could see this is his maniacal laugh at seemingly mocking. This is the member of the school board. His last name is Day, Mr. Day, on the Wylie ISD school board. His maniacal laugh at the fact that it took Republicans 2 years to start up a club.
And the stuff that he had to go through to do that.
So you can see how ho. Now with that, Marco wrote me this tonight to share with you. And he and his dad should be coming on sometime in the near future. I've talked to his dad extensively, and Marco, and we got each other's texts, and they'll probably be coming on next week to talk about all this, because you get some real stuff about what's going on that hasn't come out yet. But first, he said this: in 2024, the Republican Student Club at Wylie East was intentionally denied approval for political reasons, despite our other political groups being approved without issue. So the Republican Club, Student Club at Wylie East, denied approval for political reasons, while other political groups were approved without issue. After persistent efforts, we eventually received approval. However, when our posters were later approved, they were taken down while the club president was out of town, even after they were approved. During the East Side rally, we were also asked to remove our campaign signs from our booth. The club president has repeatedly been confronted by administrators and subjected to double standards throughout this process. I'm not surprised. It took 2 weeks, both in 2024 and 2025, to receive responses regarding the district policies administrators cited to restrict us. Weeks to get those policies, and then they eventually admitted the policies restricting them did not exist. Despite multiple follow-up emails, our 2025 approval was again delayed until the school board, after the school board meeting, long after other student groups had received approval and become established. This is only a small part of the challenges we faced, and I could add, they were also hostile towards us. So there you have it. And you'll have all these people that are running the Wylie ISD school board pretending that they're Republicans or conservatives, and they're not. Okay. Yeah. Let me. I want to start out the Tony Gonzales. You have to see this. In all the reading and all the research I did today with Tony Gonzales, there's been allegations that he had an affair with one of his staffers. She was married. They had a child. Tony Gonzales is married. He has 6 children. There are very serious restrictions and congressional restrictions that have serious repercussions if you bed down with a staffer. And this young woman, the affair lasted, apparently, according to reports I've read, like 2 weeks or longer. The husband of her husband, she's now dead. As you know, she self-immolated. She lit herself on fire and died. She was, according to the autopsy, was drunk. She was outside of her house. She had gas. And then the attorney that represents this family says that they believe that she did not intentionally do it. She was doing it for a cry for help. So she has there's texts that a former staffer that worked with her has shown. I'll show you those in a second. But the most important thing you got to know, Tony Gonzales is now attacking her husband, the deceased woman's husband, that he is accused of having an affair with. He's accused of he's accusing him of saying, "How dare you? You're trying to extort money out of me. How dare you?" And his opponents who are saying how horrible this is, he's like, "How dare you use this tragedy, this poor woman?" But the text, I'll show it to you. It shows that she admits that they were having an affair. The husband says he has 1,500 texts between her and Tony Gonzales. But I want to show you something, because let's talk about this. Let's talk about a young woman who lives in Uvalde, who lives in a tiny home. Not a tiny home like you say, "Oh, I want to buy a tiny house," but a tiny home in Uvalde, probably worth, I don't know, 80 grand, 120 grand max. You can't get anything in North Texas where I live. So here she is, of apparently little means. She works for a congressman, Tony Gonzales, allegedly has an affair with him. And then when stuff started going south, or when stuff started getting out or something, they started removing her privileges from her, according to her husband. And then she was despondent. Her husband found out about the affair, he says. She was losing all of her privileges and work duties. And then she killed herself. She is, it's not Monica Lewinsky like an intern, but she is subservient to him. He is her boss. He's powerful. And she lives in a small house and has little means compared to him. And she's dead. It pisses me off to see the size of this house, because it shows how powerless she was against Tony Gonzales. Let's look at her house. Now, I saw this in the Daily Mail. There's no credit, so, obviously anybody can walk up to the house and take a picture. Do you think this woman had the means to fight Tony Gonzales? Look at that house. Do you think her husband has the means to fight Tony Gonzales, a U.S. congressman, multiple, term, what is he, second, third term? We're trying to run for second or third or fourth, third or fourth term, I don't know, fifth? Look at that house. Look at that car in the driveway. You think they got money? Seeing this picture pisses me off. That pisses me off, because she's the little guy in this case. If he had an affair with her, and then was stripping her of things, and her husband found out, and she killed herself, and he pulls this crap, and she's got that kind of house, that shows the means they have. This sickens me, and it enrages me. Tony Gonzales, I believe, is a liar, and is sickeningly protecting himself, because I was thinking about this earlier. All he had to do is admit the affair and say, "I'm sorry," and heal. If he did this, I believe he did. But I realized if he did that, there'd be a very good chance that he would lose his job, because the woman killed herself. and he's her staffer. I believe he did it, and I believe that if he did it, I believe he didn't come out with it because of his own ego and he didn't want to lose his job. He knew that he would lose his job because she's an underling. It's violation of congressional rules, by the way. And when asked about is he under investigation right now by the U.S. House, they said no comment. He's screwed. And if he comes out and says it, he won't get rehired. And congressional races are every 2 years. And so if he says he did it, he'll get ruined. If he doesn't say he did it, which is what's happening right now, this man needs to step down. He sickens me. That house tells a story, and it tells me everything about the difference of power. Let me share with you from the Daily Mail on this. On Congressman Tony Gonzales and the alleged affair whose staffer then allegedly she lit herself on fire and killed herself. The biggest lie today, because the husband is speaking out now. He was quiet. He was even kind of seemingly supporting Tony Gonzales quietly. And what happened was the husband's lawyer sent a demand letter. Hey, I will sign a NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Nobody will say anything. For the emotional harm, the suffering, and everything that she went through for the affair that you had, that they're alleging, you'll give us $300,000 and we'll sign a non-disclosure and everybody will be happy. Tony Gonzales has called this extortion. A non-disclosure agreement is not extortion. Tony Gonzales took a portion of that, according to coverage today. Tony Gonzales took a portion of that demand letter or that proposal or whatever you want to call it. It's a legal thing done by an attorney who's still representing them, the family. Tony Gonzales took a portion of that and put it out there on Twitter to make it look bad. And the attorney's saying, show the whole thing, Tony. Show the entire thing, because what it says in there, he won't want you to know about. So this is what the husband of the Tony Gonzales staffer that allegedly had an affair with him and then killed herself. The biggest lie today, he says, is that Tony told is the affair. It's 100% true, says his widower. The widower has his wife's phone with 35,000 text messages between her and Gonzales, the lawyer says. We are researching the avenues of recovery damages under the Congressional Accountability Act. That's still an open question, says attorney Bobby Barrera. Told the Daily Mail. Again, I'll be on in San Antonio radio tomorrow morning. This is going to be fascinating to dig into big time. Because the questions I have for folks tomorrow morning, because it's in his district, is what should Tony Gonzales do? Asking their opinion. What should Tony Gonzales do? And obviously, I think he should step down and resign. And second of all, what do you think is really going on? And you know what I think. I think that the affair happened. I think he exercised power over her. I think they took away her privileges, as the family alleges, and I believe that she killed herself because of what he did. And go back to that house. Who's got the power in this relationship? I want to see Tony Gonzales' house compared to that house. It sickens me when powerful people do things allegedly, and then this happens. It just sickens me. The young woman, Regina, continued to work for Tony Gonzales after her entanglement with her boss became known. Although they took more and more work and responsibilities away from her, her husband, her widower, alleges. Was Regina spiraling, his wife? Yes. The ramifications of what Tony did, and it causing his whole split within our family, it tore down so much. Her husband, Adrian, said, I think she was attempting to send a message. I don't think she expected the vapor from the gasoline to ignite with what she was doing, the attorney explained. I believe that. Now, she may have killed herself on purpose, but I believe that because people that are despondent like this can go to the very edge but be a cry for help. He says, the attorney says, I've seen the video. In my opinion, this was an outcry for help. The autopsy revealed she was drunk at the time, which would continue to go into, not having your faculties. While you already didn't have your faculties because of the alleged affair and you're losing it. Your family's breaking down and everything. You're losing your job, or at least privileges, according to the family. Now this from KSAT. KSAT in San Antonio is one of the two big stations there. KSAT, they're woke leftists, but they do good investigations sometimes, and this one's very good. So I'm going to read you highlights from it. This is just wild. The husband... The representative of Gonzales accuses the former aide's husband of trying to profit off of his own wife's death. Tony, you look bad either way. This is sick. Gonzales shared his post to X. a portion of the emailed correspondence from the attorney I mentioned, San Antonio area attorney Bobby Barrera. I will not be blackmailed, Gonzales said. Disgusting to see people profit politically and financially off a tragic death. Barrera is representing Adrian Alvarez, Regina's husband, she's the decedent. While he said the couple separated over the affair, they did not divorce. They offered a potential settlement and a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Barrera, the attorney, told KSAT Investigates Thursday he sent the email to Gonzales at least a couple months ago. This is not coming up now during the election. But Tony is dropping it now. Tony Gonzales is panicking because his goose is fried. He's in a primary, and he's going to lose. His opponent in the primary, his main opponent, literally almost beat him by, only lost by 400 votes last time. He's going to lose this time. So he's panicking. And that's why the attorney, after I wrote this down, panicking, he's done, the attorney below that said it's a desperation on his part, and he's exactly right, that we somehow, by asking Gonzales to acknowledge responsibility for his participation in an affair with a subordinate, that somehow we're utilizing the Congressional Accountability Act, somehow blackmailing him to get to the truth. If they're going to Congress and filing a complaint, that's not blackmail. So Gonzales tweeted this out. The public should immediately, all caps, have full access to the Uvalde police report. I will keep fighting. The husband says, I don't want the police report out because it shows my wife suffering severe burns in horrific detail. I don't want my 8-year-old son to see it in the future. Gonzales wants it out because he's desperate. The attorney also says the agreement that says Adrian, the husband, never had any intent to destroy his political career, never had any intent to make this public. But nonetheless, it's the pursuit of a valid damage claim on behalf of the deceased wife. We engaged in the settlement negotiations to try to resolve a legitimate Congressional Accountability Act claim for retaliatory harassment and sexual harassment by a congressman. And if Tony perceives that as extortion, that's his problem. Amen. According to the House of Representatives, KSAT reports, according to the House of Representatives Code of Conduct, official conduct, a member may not engage in a sexual relationship with any employee of the House who works under the supervision of that member. He clearly appears to have violated it, may have. KSAT asked Tom Rust, staff director of the House Ethics Committee, are there any plans to investigate Gonzales since these allegations have been made public? No comment. The widower husband responded to the post of Tony Gonzales saying, show the whole report. And he said, I'm not going to show you the report. I'm not going to let people see my wife self-immolate on video. So the husband came out and said this, your actions have been disgraceful, Tony, and you continue to mislead your constituents with falsehood. You may avoid responsibility here on earth, but one day you will answer to a higher authority. That's exactly right. And here's the kicker. KSAT Investigates has reached out to Tony Gonzales to ask about the affair at least 20 times since September. 20 times, including 5 attempts this week. His office has not responded because he doesn't want to lie. Well, he is lying, actually, I believe, but he doesn't want to have to answer. This podcast is brought to you by Randy Martin, my friend, and IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com. Specializing in controversy, IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategy. IRSprob.com helps good people with IRS problems. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am grateful that IRSprob.com has been and is my CPA. They're incredible. The work is incredible. The when they're done, everything I get, all the information is perfect, beautiful, and well done. I thank God that Randy Martin is my CPA and that IRSprob.com is my accountancy firm. So if you have IRS problems, if your company has IRS issues, if you are a company, a business owner and you need a good CPA to handle your issues and all sorts of stuff, if you need tax planning strategy, IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com. Let's go to James Talarico. Let's see this live from James Talarico. Look at this. Look at this. This is great. Boy, is that a whopper. Talarico for Texas, 2.5 million raised in 24 hours after banned Colbert interview. Yeah, he's been banned. He's such a victim. Look at that victim there. Banned interview. He was not banned. Jasmine Crockett says he wasn't banned. CBS says he wasn't banned. CBS's attorneys say he wasn't banned. The only person that says he was banned is Stephen Colbert and James Talarico and members of the media who were on the tank for him. He wasn't banned. Now, it's very important, and I'm going to do a hat tip to journalist Greg Price. We follow each other. Greg tweeted this out today, and I study one of the core things I do, and one day I'll shift off to a different scripture, but right now I just, for some time I've been doing a psalm and a proverb every morning, along with Dr. Jeffers, my pastor and friend, Dr. Robert Jeffers, his daily devotional, Pathway to Victory daily devotional, and some other readings. So here we go. In 2 days, if he reads a proverb of a day along with other things, James Talarico should read this one. Proverbs 21:6, a fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. Let's have that post up and we'll say it again because this is so rich and true. James Talarico, a fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. Proverbs 21:6. Yes, so he did make a fortune by lying, but it's fleeting vapor and deadly snare. He's out. He ain't going to win. This is like Beto Hussein O'Rourke money, the fake Mexican cultural appropriator. He will get money. He'll get a lot of money, but he's still going to lose. Mark my words. Now, and he is more of a threat than Jazzy, but he will not beat Jazzy in the primaries. He will not, even with the cheating. So it is a lie. Equal time applies to, and this is not in contrary to leftist Bud Kennedy in the Star Telegram. He's always funny. He's just like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's Bud. And this is not banned. This is not old law that doesn't apply anymore. It still applies. The FCC regulates two things, radio and broadcast, television and radio. And the reason why the FCC regulates them, it's called, is the Supreme Court's ruling way back when it was like a billboard. You can't escape it. The airwaves invade your home. And therefore you cannot, they have to regulate it because we don't get to stop the airwaves from television and radio on the broadcast. Those waves go through your house, so that's why they're regulated by the government. Cable is not because you pull it into your home or you can stop it. So that's why it's not regulated. And the FCC clearly says, and it still is valid to this very day, equal time applies when there is a race happening and you are one of the candidates. If you come on, you can do that. James Talarico is a liar by saying he was banned. He was never banned. James Talarico could go on The Late Show. However, they would also have to offer equal time, however much time he gets, to Jazzy Crockett and the other guy, this other Democrat that's running. I don't even know his name. It's in here somewhere in his article. I just never heard of the guy. But he would have to offer the same time. And so Stephen Colbert didn't want to do that. Nobody banned him. He just wanted to promote Talarico. So this is a complete and total lie. Now, I'll share a few details from some of the coverage today. And by the way, God's not going to honor him lying. He can get money, but it doesn't mean anything. Remember, Proverbs 21:6, a fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. Colbert said lawyers told him in no uncertain terms, this is from the Dallas Express today, that we could not have him on the broadcast, adding, not only could I not have him on, I could not mention having him on. You are not, yes, you could have him on, but you'd have to have Jazzy and the other guy, the other Democrat. Let's just call this what it is. Donald Trump's administration wants to silence anyone who says anything bad about Trump on TV because all Trump does is watch TV, says Colbert. No, it's federal law. It's not Donald Trump. Then, in a TikTok video, James Talarico said, this is the interview Donald Trump didn't want you to see. His FCC refused to air my interview with Colbert. Trump is worried about whether we're going to flip Texas. I mean, everybody knows that's a lie. Nobody's worried we're going to flip Texas, Democrat. Trump's FCC did not refuse to air. Nobody refused to air the interview. Colbert refused to air interviews with all the candidates. That's why he couldn't go on. CBS has publicly stated that's totally false. CBS said through a spokesperson to The Hill, quote, "The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Rep. James Talarico." They're literally saying we did not prohibit them. Second of all, the show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Rep. Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. These guys are 100% lying, and they know they're lying. And it's also that they can get this guy elected. It's not going to work. The only people that, I mean, sure, they're Democrats, but it ain't going to work. You ain't going to get a black person in the state of Texas who's Democrat to vote for James Talarico. NBC DFW, this is great because Dallas Express called what our local media outlets reported on this. NBC DFW, quote, "Interview not aired out of fear of FCC." That's false, NBC DFW, but I expect that exactly from you. There's one guy over there who's totally leftist woke, and I can't remember his name. It'll come to me at some point, but he's not on camera. But his name is over all NBC DFW stuff, but it's all leftist. Fox 4 also kind of lies. Fox 4 says it was allegedly blocked. No, it wasn't, and you know it, unless you're rigging it against them. 4-star Telegram, quote, "Trying to control what we watch." Yes, Stephen Colbert is trying to control what you watch. Stephen Colbert and James Talarico are trying to control what you're able to watch, not the FCC and not CBS. Total lies. MSNBC's MS Now, one host described Talarico as banned on television and accused cowardly corporate lawyers of yielding to political pressure. Wow. They're either stupid or they know they're lying. It's a 50-50 chance with that on MSNBC. And then what else? This is from CBS also said that the show, Colbert decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. He didn't want the other candidates. Okay. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr said today, Talarico knew the legacy media would run the story. And again, I'll tell you this, he'll still lose, Talarico. Crockett says she had been told CBS could proceed if equal time were offered. So Crockett's not a liar. She's telling the truth. Talarico's lying, as is Colbert. And poor Bud Kennedy from the Star Telegram. I don't know if he's a liar or it's just good old Bud Kennedy who, loves the left and can't tell the difference between a lie and the left. Whatever. Anyway, here we go. This also from Brendan Carr said he raised a lot of money, he got a lot of clicks, and he knew. He knew he was making it up and lying. Bud Kennedy, I'll share a few things. The guy doesn't get me mad. Like I said, it's just Bud. He's a kind of I don't mean to be negative on the guy, but he's like a turd. He's like a lump, a leftist, lump turd. Like, he's not threatening. Bud Kennedy, he doesn't get me mad. YouTube won, he put, and FCC and TV lost. I just prefer to laugh at Bud Kennedy. If Colbert illegally favored U.S. Senate candidate Talarico, what about the other candidate interviews over the air and TV and radio talk shows? He's claiming, and I've done talk radio, I still do talk radio. I'm filling in tomorrow in San Antonio. I do network. I do cities all over the country. And I've been on talk radio since 2000, full-time. And prior to that, in the mid-'90s, I started doing talk radio. So he's like trying to say that talk radio shows don't honor this. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And broadcast TV. So you're trying to say this is not, this doesn't get, this is an old law and it's not applied. Yes, it is. And just try it. Have Talarico go on any broadcast radio or television station, or have a Republican go on a broadcast or radio television station. Like you could have Ken Paxton go on a radio or television broadcast station right now while the primaries are going on, and not offer Wesley Hunt or John Cornyn equal time and see what happens. They can file a complaint and it'll get busted up right away. And I've worked at, I can go over a long list in Atlanta, in Dallas, in Minneapolis, in Madison, Wisconsin, in Jefferson City, Missouri, and in Macon, Georgia. I have written all those radio markets, and it's always been the same. You have to have on the other candidate, and if you do not have them on, you'll be breaking the law. So Bud Kennedy claims that this is all not true. He says Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck, they're not doing that. Yes, they are, and if they don't, they're liable. I mean, they're violating the law. I think he's getting confused with just having on a political guest outside of the political campaigning time. I'm sorry, outside of the voting period. Because you can have on the Governor Abbott, when there's no voting going on, and not have on anybody else that would run against him at a later date. He says, "Oh yeah, here's the third person that would have that. Here's who Colbert would have had to have on: Jasmine Crockett and Ahmad Hassan. I don't even know who that is. Is that what? It was anyway. That's funny. So Colbert didn't want to have on Jasmine Crockett and Ahmad Hassan, whoever's the third guy running the Democrat primary for U.S. Senate. He's got a good chance, all right. There's a chance. Within 2 days, anyways, how is this bad, by the way, Bud? How is having Jasmine Crockett and Ahmad Hassan on, the other two candidates? How is that bad, Bud? Why would that be bad? Let's see here. I have Spearhead 4800 saying, 1 in a million years, wouldn't have expected Wylie to be going to this crap. Would have expected Garland. Yes. You guys can comment in real time. I'll see it. Like I just did, Spearhead 4800. Thank you. Comment. I don't know if he's on. Oh, he's on YouTube, I think. But whether it's YouTube or Rumble, go to @CrocTalk, KROKTALK @CrocTalk on YouTube and Rumble. I don't know if there's any other way you can, if you message me, if I'll get it real time. But I will respond to your messages also on the other ones. But I think it's YouTube and Rumble. The more comments you say, the more I respond. So keep it up. It's good. Anyways, and Bud Kennedy says the equal time law is specific to elections and registered candidates. That's exactly right, Bud. Why is it so hard? So you got a little bit more too. We have not had this much firepower and military and Navy and everything in the Gulf since the launch of the Iraq War. So there's going to be military action very soon. There's also some planes that are very interesting. I won't read the whole thing because it's long. E-3 command and control aircraft. Okay, there's only 16 E-3s total. These are these planes that look like a regular plane, like the president's plane, but on top is this huge disc. There's only 16 of them. Only 9 right now are possibly available for operations, and I think there's 6 or 7 of them are in the Middle East right now. So you cannot prosecute a war without that E-3 plane with the revolving radar disc on top, and you can't do a war without them. And now apparently like 6 or 7 out of 9 of them are all in the Middle East right now. So we're going to be striking. I'm going to share a little bit on that, and I have no problem with this. If Trump has been incredibly precise and wise, and I'm going to say one thing. The most important thing right now is our economy. We're going to get our asses, excuse my language, we're going to get our asses hammered in the fall if this economy doesn't get better. And not Trump telling him it's better. And not Pinabanti embarrassing us by saying, well, look at the Dow. And Epstein here, the Dow is 50. What are you doing? Shut up about the Dow. You answer the question. Oh, my gosh. That's not going to do anything. If we don't, I'll say me, I'll take me out of the equation. If people in this country don't feel that the economy has gotten better and things are better, we're screwed. That's true. More than anything, and because a lot of people are upset about the international stuff that we're doing. He's doing great. Cuba quite possibly is going to be a negotiated collapse of their government in the near future, which is incredible. And second of all, I think there's a very good chance of the regime getting toppled without a war. And let me share with you a few details on this, because what's very important to know is this. And I'm not going to go in depth on this, but this is very important because he could strike this weekend, just so you know, in Iran. So let me just share a few details on this with you. From the Wall Street Journal exclusively tonight. This just came out. Trump is weighing an initial limited military strike on Iran to force it to meet its demands for a nuclear deal. first step that would be designed to pressure Tehran into an agreement but falls short of a full-scale attack that could inspire a major retaliation. The opening assault, which if authorized could come within days, would target a few military or government sites. People say that are familiar with the matter. If Iran still refuses, so a few military government sites. If Iran still refuses to comply with Trump's directive to end its nuclear enrichment, they can't enrich. Because all they do is they have 900 pounds right now of 60% enriched uranium for a nuclear warhead. If Iran still refuses to comply with his directive to end its nuclear enrichment, the U.S. will respond with a broad campaign. So first, some smaller strikes, then a broad campaign, if they won't, against regime facilities potentially aimed at toppling the Tehran regime. Yes, 90% of the people that live in Iran, like us, have no problem with Israel and love America, and they're educated, and they are going to overthrow their own government, not us. And by the way, the administration killed the Iranian, the mullahs killed between 18,000 and 40,000 protesters there. The first limited strike option, which hasn't been reported previously, signals Trump might be open to using military force not only as a reprimand for Iran's failure to make a deal, but also to pave the way for a U.S.-friendly accord. One of the people said Trump could ratchet up his attacks, starting small before ordering larger strikes until the regime either dismantles its nuclear work or falls. There you go. And they have no air defense. Israel destroyed it. They have almost no air force whatsoever. Israel destroyed it, and their ballistic missiles is all they've been building up, and they can unleash a lot of crap. But this will be amazing if they do fall. Let me go to Chicago Bears. I was born in the city of Chicago. I was raised in the suburbs. My dad was a Chicago police officer. I come from a multi-generational Chicago law enforcement family. It's unthinkable that the Chicago Bears could not play in Soldier Field anymore. It's unthinkable. It's somewhat reasonable to think they could go to Arlington Heights, which is right by where I lived for a good portion of my upbringing, where the Arlington racetrack is. But it is. I fill in Chicago regularly. And I was mocking when Indiana started saying they're going to try to sway and that the mayor of Gary and stuff, which is a crap hole, and they're like, well, we have it laid out. Look at this. They were with the news. They were showing we could have it here. I was laughing at it. And now today, because Indiana is a red state, and so now today, it appears it is this close to the Bears going to Hammond, Indiana, or somewhere right around there, right over the border. This is the most embarrassing, humiliating, and pathetic thing to happen to the city of Chicago in a long time. This is unthinkable and unbelievable. Losing the Bears to Arlington Heights, which is like losing the Dallas Cowboys to Arlington, Texas. Really, it's very, very similar, okay? That's one thing. But losing them to another state. And mind you, here's the thing. I'll just draw a stupid map here. It's just a dumb map, but okay. Here's the lake. Okay, here's Chicago. Okay, here's Chicago. That's Lake Michigan. This is very, 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 very accurate, as you can tell. Here's in Indiana, something like that. Okay. Half of the entire city is here. Okay. They're going to have to go way past downtown and all the way over to here. You're adding like an hour and a half. I mean, it's insane. So you're literally cutting off half the Chicagoland area, which is up here to Wisconsin, all the way here, and you're going to cut it in half. And these people are going to drive, there, but these people are going to have to drive 3 hours to go to a game. This is so pathetic and stupid if they lose to Indiana. And it'll all be on that embarrassing communist, socialist, dumb mayor. That's my take on that. And we got two last thing here. I'm going to throw that one in. Okay, here, let's just close with a laugh. Okay, we'll close with a little laugh. Hold on, let me get my little mouse ready here. There we go. Okay. We're going to close with a little laugh. Texas Democrat who shocked Republican establishment sworn in as a senator Thursday. Shocked! He shocked the Republican establishment. The Dallas Morning News says today, though Taylor Remmett flipped a GOP-friendly seat, he may never cast a vote. in the Texas legislature because he has to win again before the next session. He's not going to win again. But they're like, he's shocked the Republican establishment. He's not going to get one vote. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's right. The temporary Democrat 4th Union leader, Taylor Remmen, who won by 17 points, which is insane. Dan Patrick says Remmen will never cast a vote in the legislature because it doesn't meet this year. He's got to go around and be like, have a little kingdom tour. I'm important. Look at me. No votes. You'd be better off having like one of the high school guys, the Republican or Democrat club, being it's me. And then he was elected to serve out the final year of former Senator Kelly Hancock's unexpired term. He went to be Texas comptroller, acting comptroller. Now, last point on this. This is a good laugh, isn't it? I told you it'd be a good laugh. He beat Lee Wamsgans by 14 points, but they're going to face off again in November, and he's going to lose badly. That's a fact, Jack. So there was bad weather. You had I can't remember the guy's name, but there's some Republican guy that was told he was running and he was being a gadfly and a nuisance. He took 16% of the vote. He had no chance of winning, and he refused to tell everybody to vote for her. And there was a jerkety-jerk on the way out. So that's not going to be the case this time. It's going to be her versus Remmen, and he's going to get his arse whooped because you're going to have a lot more people showing up at the polls, and they're not going to put this guy back in. So he can be like the ceremonial king who has no power whatsoever. Like have a little, what's that called, a cipher or sepher or something like that? I don't know. And march around with it and have fun because that's about the extent of his power. All right. Good luck to you, sir, on that reign of nothingness. This show is brought to you by IRSProb.com, 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 helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy's my guy. He's my CPA. Use him for your business if you have IRS problems, etc. And that is today's show.